One key element of Lucifer's character that I haven't brought up to now is his role as a family member, both his family of origin and his chosen family, Lilith and Charlie. While Hazbin Hotel is broadly about the cosmic laws that govern heaven and hell, it's told through characters who are understandable, even relatable, and that fact can be easy to lose sight of for characters like Lucifer, who are often viewed and used as symbols more than people. This video explores Lucifer's relationships, especially his relationship with Charlie, and explains how the development of this relationship supports the overall plot of the show. Throughout Hazbin Hotel Season 1, Medrano emphasizes the connection between Charlie and Lucifer. They're visually very similar, with the same blonde hair and clown faces, and we can see that Charlie draws heavily on her father's imagery throughout her hotel, both his classical Lucifer imagery, like apples and serpents, and his Hazbin Hotel imagery of his being a clown, like balls and horses. This visual connection is symbolic of a deeper connection between them. They're very similar people with similar values, and there's a clear through line in their work. As discussed thoroughly in parts 2 and 3, Lucifer's work and failure define both the world the characters live in and the plot of the show. It's even the framing device used to contextualize Charlie's story. The show opens with the story of how Lucifer fell after giving humanity the knowledge of good and evil, and paints him and his work in a very positive light. His work is, therefore, the thing that makes Charlie's work of helping people choose to be good both necessary and possible. Necessary because Charlie wouldn't have to save souls if they had never fallen. She's, in a sense, cleaning up after his mistake. Possible because she sees what he tried to do, saw what made it worthy, and chose to take up where he left off. This gift of free will to humanity was itself a positive thing because it changed humankind from dumb beasts to moral sapient agents. Tension between them comes, as tension between parents and children often does, from the differences in experience and perspective.
Charlie! You don't understand. Heaven never listens. They didn't listen to me. They won't listen to you.
You don't know that!
I do.
Lucifer has experienced both social and natural consequences from giving humans free will. First, he was rejected by the angels and exiled from heaven. Second, he was exiled into the pit of despair that was created out of the evil he had introduced into the world, preventing him from seeing the good that came from free will.
As punishment for their reckless act, heaven cast Lucifer and his love into the dark pit he had created, never allowing him to see the good that came from humanity. Only the cruel and the wicked.
Because of this extremely skewed perspective, any discussion of furthering his work makes him uncomfortable. He's avoidant, as seen when he repeatedly changes the topic away from Charlie's mission.
So, what do you think?
About what?
The hotel!
Oh, yes. It does look much better now, doesn't it? You know, but I'm thinking this railing needs work. One good push, and you just go right over the edge. Whoopee! Bye-bye.
What? No, the plan, Dad! What do you think about using the hotel to help sinners?
When she presses him on it, we can see how much of an emotional trigger this is for him.
These are our people, Dad. I have to try.
Our people, Charlie, are awful! They got gifted free will, and look what they did with it. Everything's terrible.
Charlie, on the other hand, sees things differently. She sees evil not as some new horrible novel thing, but as just another part of what people are like. As a hellborn individual, she's been surrounded by it her whole life.
It's a realm so appealing it beats anywhere, if you don't mind the smell.
And she has an easier time seeing past it. It's not some uniquely destructive force, but the natural consequence of people being able to choose good, which is in and of itself a positive thing. She believes that all people, even sinners, contain some good, or at least the potential for good.
That any soul can change.
Those angels' minds are hard to change.
Everyone can be redeemed from the evil to the strange.
They're bloodthirsty and deranged.
and she has faith that they can learn to make good choices given support and time.
Angel will make good decisions. Come on, we have to keep watching.
From her perspective, Lucifer wasn't wrong, but he gave up too early. Showing Lucifer the value of his work and the good that came from it is one of the things that changed his mind about helping her. The other thing Charlie does to change his mind is she tells him that she needs him to be her dad and support her. Despite their similarities and despite how much Charlie clearly admires him, Charlie and Lucifer don't have a close relationship. Lucifer is a neglectful father.
We just have never been close. After he and Mom split, he never really wanted to see me. He calls sometimes, but only if he's bored or needs me to do something.
And Charlie has learned to live without him. It's implied that Lilith used to come between them, but in the past 7 years, she hasn't been in the picture at all, so it's hard to blame their current lack of contact on her. Rather, we can point to Lucifer's depression, which he doesn't bother to hide from Charlie.
Ashamed, Lucifer lost his will to dream.
Take that, depression!
And perhaps also his own lack of a parental role model as the culprits. Lucifer is very aware and self-conscious about his shortcomings as a parent. It's the reason Alistair's taunts in Hell's Greatest Dad worked so well.
You're like the child that I wish that I had.
What?
I care for you just like a daughter I spawned.
Hold on now.
It's a little funny. You could almost call me Dad.
Lucifer knows all too well that
Sadly, there are times a birth parent is a dog.
because he also has experience with a toxic family of origin, which saddled him with the disproportionate punishment of being cast into hell for eternity because he wanted humans to be moral agents. He thought he was doing a good thing, and he was. That's the problem. He was good rather than obedient. Because his birth parent, or whatever angels have, was a dud, he knows how much that kind of abuse can hurt. So whether sparing Charlie from that pain was the reason for his neglect, or if it was his depression, or a bit of both, it's clear that his real and potential inadequacies as a parent are present on his mind. While Charlie spells out for Lucifer that she doesn't need protection but support,
Dad, I don't need you to protect me from this.
I just don't want you to be crushed by them like I was.
and while he seems to take this to heart, neither of them explicitly acknowledge just how much of a non-issue this is because of how very different Lucifer is from the other angels, or how these traits show up in Charlie. Charlie and Lucifer are both revolutionary thinkers.
He was a dreamer with fantastical ideas for all of creation.
When they see room for improvement, they choose to change the paradigm, influence how people think about the system, and emphasize the importance of how people's understanding of the system informs their beliefs and behaviors.
So, once we have the proof that redemption is possible, this whole hotel will be full of demons wanting to check out into heaven.
This is in stark contrast to the authoritarian and reactive methods implemented in heaven. This distinction can also be seen in their choices of romantic partners. When Charlie introduces Lucifer to Vaggie, he immediately draws a connection and says,
Oh my golly, you like girls! So do I! We have so much in common!
but again, this is only a surface level similarity that nonetheless points to something more substantial. The real connection is in how each of them met their partners. Look at the scenes of Lucifer finding Lilith.
Adam demanded control, and Lilith refused to submit to his will. She fled the garden. Drawn in by her fierce independence, Lucifer found her, and the two rebellious dreamers fell deeply in love.
And Charlie finding Vaggie.
Sinful filth like you has no place in heaven.
To think someone as worthless as you landed Lilith's little hottie. Grats on that, I guess.
Lilith and Vaggie are both Adam's cast-offs. This isn't a cosmetic or coincidental similarity, but one that draws a philosophical line between those who side with Adam and those who side with Charlie, including Lucifer. Charlie takes in everyone, whereas Adam and the angels have an unforgiving code of conduct the cornerstone of which is blind obedience. It sets up a diametric opposition between her philosophy and his. Whereas he cuts off anyone who won't submit to him, Charlie and Lucifer are drawn to individualism and support moral agency. When Lucifer decides to help Charlie in episode 5, and when he joins the fight in episode 8, several pieces of the story come full circle in a very tidy and satisfying way. First, Lucifer's character gets some development. He was once someone who had dreams and agendas of his own, and you can see hope come back into him as he sings,
The stage is wrecked, the crowd is gone, but by God, Charlie, the show, it must go on.
and the glee in him when he joins the team in building the new hotel.
Good thing we're in hell, check out this little magic device. Start with foundation. A remedial creation for me. It's as easy as can be.
His dreams that had once been eclipsed by damnation have been revived by Charlie. Additionally, Lucifer shows his resolution to be a better parent than he has been. In episode 5, Lucifer's torn between two parenting impulses. At once, he wants to be a better parent than he had, and he wants to protect her, both from failure in the same task he attempted and from the people who hurt him.
I just don't want you to be crushed by them like I was.
All he can see when she first tells him about her plans is his failure and the tragic consequences for all of mankind. It takes persuasion to make him come around and see what good could come from doubling down on his work and pushing things forward. Charlie does this by showing him the good in sinners' souls, first with Alistair when she reframes his actions.
Dad, stop! He's defending this hotel!
And then when she sings about how he inspired her.
Tales about your lofty dreams. I listened breathlessly, imagining it could be me. So in the end, it's the view I had of you that show me dreams can be worth fighting for.
When he sees that good can and indeed has come from the work he's done, he changes and decides to support Charlie, first in getting her the meeting with heaven, and then in taking a stand against the exorcists when they break the deal they'd made and came for Charlie. In this key moment, he steps up to be the dad she needs him to be and becomes resolved in his support of her mission, with his only regret being,
Sorry I wasn't here sooner, sweetie.
Third, and most importantly for the overall plot, it's not just that he changed, but that he changed because of Charlie's persuasion. Series protagonist Charlie Morningstar's weapon of choice is persuasion, which she uses throughout season 1 to mixed results. But the season ends with one of her more difficult audiences not just becoming an ally, but singing her tune to encourage her.
You can do this. Now I know it. For your story is just begun.
I can do this. Somehow I know it. I'll get heaven behind my plans.
Charlie, hold on.
There's just no way I could blow it. Not this once in a lifetime chance.
It's just a meeting.
You can't quit now. Hell, you owe it. There's still damage to be undone.
To change their minds and touch their hearts, or whatever angels have.
You've changed my mind. You've touched their hearts, found the good in souls gone bad.
He makes an example of himself as her accomplishment and a success she can replicate. Her chosen strategy of persuasion is workable, and he is the proof. At the end of season 1, Lucifer is both Charlie's most powerful ally.
There's no substitute for pure angelic power.
And evidence that she is capable of swaying others to her cause, even the ones who are particularly hesitant to being swayed.